Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Joseph's Point of View, where we focus on human interest stories from the Carolinas and beyond. Today it's Tuesday and it's September the 20th, 2023. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to my channel, I want to thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you find the information here to be informative. And if you're a returning viewer, by all means, thank you for coming back. I always say the tide changes so frequently here on these YouTube streets. So you always have to acknowledge where your support comes from. And I want you to know I sincerely thank you for your support. Feel free to like and to share this video. And don't forget to subscribe. And our story today comes from the city of Fayetteville here in North Carolina. Take a look at the headline. And it reads, Female Army Soldier Sentenced for the Killing of Ex-Lover's New Girlfriend. I'll provide you with a summary here, and as always, I'll place links to a few of the full articles in the description box. Well, this story is about a love triangle involving two military women and one man, and it seems that they were both involved at the same time, but there may have been a bit of an overlap. And as you'll see shortly, that overlap can have deadly consequences. The end result here is one woman being killed and the other being charged with murder. All soldiers. And I initially brought you this story when it first took place in May of 2021. And since we now have a final ruling in this case, which is a plea deal and a sentence, it seems appropriate that I should bring you this new information in the final chapter. And the parties were both assigned to Fort Bragg here in North Carolina. And as you know, Fort Bragg no longer exists. Fort Bragg is now Fort Liberty, but that change took place this past June. So the reference here will stay Fort Bragg for this video, just for consistency. So let's revisit this ordeal back to its beginning in May of 2021. 22-year-old Army Sergeant Kelia Horton, a soldier assigned to Fort Bragg, was sitting in a car in a parking lot outside of a residence that was later identified as the place where her current boyfriend lived. Now, while she was sitting in that car, neighbors who were eyewitness to the incident, they told police that a woman walked up to the car and fired several shots at Kelia Horton. She was administered life-saving measures at the scene by EMTs and transferred to the nearby hospital, but they were unable to save her life, and she was pronounced deceased. Shortly thereafter, police announced they had made an arrest, and the suspect was this woman, a fellow military soldier identified as 25-year-old Tierra Vincent. At the time of her arrest, she was a parachute rigger assigned to the 3rd Special Forces Group on Fort Bragg. She was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and discharging a firearm into an occupied vehicle. And as expected, at her first court appearance, her bond was denied. Now, back when this incident took place, police were reluctant to discuss a possible motive or to identify a possible relationship between the two women. All we knew is that they were both soldiers from the nearby military installation. But now that the case has moved through the court system and the suspect has faced justice, police are now saying that the suspect apparently had lived at that residence associated with the parking lot where the shooting took place. They say she had lived there but had recently moved out when she and the male resident broke up. And as we suspected all along, that this had to be some type of love triangle. It was reported that she had returned to the residence because she was pregnant and she wanted to see whether she and the former boyfriend could reconcile. It was mentioned that the former boyfriend, who was also a Fort Bragg soldier, that he wanted her to terminate the pregnancy, but she could not go through the procedure. But nonetheless, she came back to have a discussion to see whether or not, since she was pregnant, whether or not they could get back together. So on that particular afternoon in May, the suspect arrived at the residence to address the pregnancy, and it's not clear whether the shooting took place before or after the visit. What we do know is that the suspect saw Horton. She saw her in the car that was parked in the parking lot. She walked over to the car and discharged a firearm, striking the soldier multiple times. The autopsy revealed that Kelia Horton was hit 5 times, once in the neck, once in the chest, twice in the torso, and once in the arm. It was stated that she was in a new relationship with this man whose home she was visiting, and again, he was a fellow soldier, also from Fort Bragg. And now let's fast forward to the present. We learned last week that after spending approximately 27 months behind bars, the suspect had agreed that she would plead guilty. And last Wednesday, I believe it was September the 13th, she appeared before a judge to verbally address the court and say that she was guilty of the charges. She pled guilty to second-degree murder and discharging a firearm into an occupied vehicle. She did address the court, expressing remorse for her actions and telling the judge if she could go back in time, she would definitely take a different course of action. And the judge then sentenced her to 17 to 21 years and 5 months in jail. And this is such a sad ending because there are no winners. There are losers on both sides. You see, she too is facing a considerable loss because not only did she deprive the victim's two children of growing up with their mom, she, meaning the suspect, did deliver a child while in custody and is now is questionable as to whether or not or how much of a relationship she will have with that child, if any. It's just a terrible situation that has left so many people now having to pick up the pieces on both sides. As a woman, I have to acknowledge that we seem to have such a difficult time letting go. And I personally have issues with remorse. When people talk about how or what they would do differently, could they go back in time? It seems to me we need to focus more on the present. If a relationship is over, just let it go and move on. You can't hold on to something that's not there. And then why take the life of the other woman? It's not the other woman you had a problem with, it's the man that was in your life because there seemed to have been an acknowledgement that the relationship had already ended. Just a sad case, very sad indeed.
And that's all I have for you right now. Feel free to leave me a comment below and let me know what you think about this video. And by all means, feel free to like it and to share it. And if you haven't done so already, I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel by clicking on that red subscribe button. It's on the bottom right hand corner of your screen. And if you click on the bell that looks just like this one, that's a notification bell. If you click on that notification bell, you'll be the first to know whenever a new video is uploaded. I thank you for watching and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.